Facebook, you know what?
Wait, it says you need 100 followers
Or
before you can
Meta.
go live from your profile. You need 100 followers
It's
before you can. How do you get 100 followers if you can
way to help
not?
the little man.
Dumb,
Elitist.
dumb, dumb, dumb.
Guess what?
What?
Still a dork. Hey, we're here. We're live. The dishes are done. I'm John. He's Agnew. We saw movies.
We
We're
did.
going to talk about it.
Look, we're
going to answer
this.
some questions.
Movie reviews.
All right.
Mall.
So what is on your shirt?
It.
Is that Lost?
Oh, it's Bob's
or
Burgers.
Bob's Burgers. Yeah. Show's amazing.
Yeah.
So what's up, man? How are you?
It's been a while. Doing this choir thing, and then basically it's not.
We dodged 2 hurricanes.
And you dodged 2 hurricanes. Yeah. How are you doing?
Oh, and Heather's been out of town for the weekend twice in the last month. Like twice in the last 4 weeks. And this past weekend, dude. I mean, it's just I'm on my feet nonstop.
Oh yeah.
Daddy, can you get this? Daddy, can you get that? And
well, you're still at that at that point. Like our kids are old enough now where I'm like, no, you can get it. You know, like I'll take a peanut butter and jelly. I'm like, great. There's a knife. There's some bread. I've provided all the things you need.
Like, there's so many things that they don't do that, like, it's kind of like I'm still putting up with it just because I'm, I know it's not going to last. Yeah. Where they're like, can you throw this out for me? And I'm like, yeah. Because soon I'm going to be like, get off your fat ass and do it yourself.
Yeah. I got pushed away this morning at drop off. You know, I was dropping them off to school, and I was going to like hug Leo, and he's like, "Nah, I'm cool." I'm like, "What?"
Like, you think so?
So then I put him in a headlock, which
right
caused a scene. But I was like, "I'll teach you to not
hug
me."
Good job. I'm proud of you. Yeah. Oh, you're not going to hug me? Then I'm going to headlock you.
Yeah.
Speaking of headlocks,
wearing a robe and just my underwear tomorrow.
Right, and I'll walk you to your first class. Yeah. So funny. I just sent an Uncle Buck gift to my cousin.
Oh yeah.
On Saturday there was Bad Blood. You know, WWF's. You know, it's not a pay-per-view. They call them a premium live event. So like when I'm stuck with the girls,
or is it like
no, it's like it's like a pay-per-view, but it's on Peacock. So it's not really a pay-per-view, but it's the same exact
harder
concept.
To log into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when I'm stuck at home with the girls and that is on, and there's something to like kind of look forward to, and they're like still kind of PG right now. They have like these buildups where like, dude, the one was like a 55-minute, like it told the whole story over like a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
As to why this match is happening. And Hannah was kind of like watching it and watching like other stuff and reading, but like she was kind of paying attention to it because the one chick, Liv Morgan, looks just like Harley Quinn, like Margot Robbie. She looks a lot like her. So, she's pretty. So Hannah loves all pretty girls. And then in the match that like happened later on in the pay-per-view, Charlie had to get a bath. So I missed the ending. And Hannah comes running in and tells me the whole ending. She's like, Dominic falls out of the cage, but his foot is still there. So then Rhea's hitting him with the bat. And then this other girl comes out of the crowd and beats up Rhea. And Liv won. She's still champ. And I was like going crazy. And then at the end, just real quick, Cody Rhodes, Dusty Rhodes' son, who's the champ now, him and Roman Reigns they team up and they fight and they win. And at the end, the belt's laying in the middle of the ring, and Roman Reigns picks it up and he's looking at it. And Cody comes over like, give me my belt. And Roman hands it back to him, and they kind of like nod at each other. And Cody raises it up and if you smell what the Rock. And me and Hannah look at each other, dude. And before I could say it, Hannah goes, Dad, why the Rock? Why is the Rock there? I was like, you know, it's the Rock just from his music. I was more excited that she knew that than the Rock was there. And the Rock came out. He doesn't say anything. He just kind of looks at them all, goes like this, and then leaves.
That's like what he used to do. That was like his early thing before he started talking so much. Like he used to just kind of like give everyone a look, like the eye.
Right. Yeah, when he was like really big, he didn't even have to talk.
Yeah.
That's how good he was. That's kind of how good he is now. The final
What is he now?
boss.
Is he like kind of like the McMahon of?
He's the final boss. I mean, dude, he's a board member of the company that owns WWF. So he is the final boss, like literally. It's crazy. So he plays that character on TV, and they haven't learned a thing. You didn't see that documentary yet, did you?
No. Which one?
The Mr. McMahon. They were filming it, and in the middle of them filming it, all the like trafficking stuff came out, and so they had to kind of like
they were just like
redirect. Like, so
just get this
remember
down.
the steroid thing and the making Sergeant Slaughter an Iraqi sympathizer during the Gulf War thing, and the X-rated TV thing, like the Attitude Era. How about we just talk about all that, and then we'll end with this?
Yeah.
But dude, they interview Vince, and he is the weirdest American of all time, I think.
Oh yeah,
Vince McMahon, just so bizarre.
I mean, you kind of have to be. I mean, just like how what like Jimmy Wang Yang described him to us. He's like, it sounded like he was a presence, right? Like people would come in for a meeting and he'd be like, nope, this. And it's like, why that? That's insane. That's the dumbest. Nope, that. You're like, that's my decision. It's done. That's how it's happening. It's like, okay.
It's a kid with the toys. And he's like, well, if you want to play with my toys, that's how you're going to play with them.
Right.
Or you won't play with them. They're all my toys.
I'll take my ball and go home. Right.
Right.
He also kind of had a monopoly, right? Like they always talked about there being competition, but he built it to be a monopoly. And then when anybody would come in or disagree with him, he'd be like, okay, you can go. Like you can leave. Fine.
Exactly. One of my favorite parts of the documentary is they're like, Vince went around and bought up all the stars from all the other territories and then would put shows on in their territories and basically just bankrupt them.
Yeah.
And then Bischoff went and paid Hulk Hogan more and made him work less hours, paid Scott Hall more, made him work less hours. Same thing with Kevin Nash. And Vince was like, well, he's Ted Turner stealing my wrestlers. And Eric Bischoff's like, that's what you did, Vince.
But I don't like
We're
it
just
this
doing
way.
it back to you. Right. Yeah, well, it's not fair. But dude, then Vince tries to justify it. He's like, yeah, well, what's good for business is good for everyone. But if it's not good for my business, then it's not good for everyone. Like he's a walking contradiction.
Sure. Well,
it's bizarre.
I mean, he's a narcissist, right? So it's just he can't possibly comprehend, somebody beating him. It's just people affecting him. So he can be a victim, but he can't lose. So that's why he's going to always contradict himself.
That is that you nailed it. He's an undefeated victim.
An undefeated victim, right? Yeah.
In his record book.
Yeah. Don't hit me, but I am the champion. Yeah.
It's like this.
I'll have to see that one.
It's like a really and the main thing is like what's the difference between Vince and Mr. McMahon, like the character? And I'm like, that question is just so dumb, but that's the thing that he likes. What's the difference between me and Mr. McMahon? It's all you.
Yeah.
Like no one's the same tone all the time.
Yeah.
You're really crazy and angry at times.
Right.
You're just like doing that on TV. Like that was like a big thing in Joker too. Are you Joker or Arthur Fleck? And Miles is like, it's an act. He's in the movie. I forget that guy's name all the time. Ken Lang.
Oh. No, I don't know that. Yeah, I didn't get to see Joker yet. I'm trying to avoid reviews, but things are flying at me from all directions.
But you saw Speak No Evil, the new one or the original?
No,
from way back in 2022.
The McAvoy one. I didn't even know there was
okay.
one. Yeah, I saw the McAvoy one.
It's a remake from 2022.
That's a very early remake.
And I heard the remake is brutal, like bad,
like this new
compared
one
to this one. No, the original one.
Oh, the original one.
Yeah.
Wait, so the 2022 is a remake of an earlier film too?
No, the one that you saw
sorry,
is the remake of the one from 2022. At 2022, it's like a foreign film. They made it during the pandemic.
I
and
see.
It's crazy, apparently. Like I've heard like people do that. Like I've heard other movies they've seen, and it's like it just is brutal. Like one of the most brutal movies ever.
Oh, when you say brutal,
what that means? I don't think I want to watch it.
Well, I'm trying to understand. Do you mean brutal like
brutal,
you can't get through it?
Like it's just like it's like
graphic?
Yeah, just too much like
stomach churning.
Like either the violence is too much or the whatever you're watching is just like, oh, I can't like think more about this.
Yeah, this one was more. This could be like a TBS movie. Like it wasn't. I mean, there was violence and gore and stuff like that, but at the core of it, it was a Hallmark movie. It was just a Hallmark movie that didn't finish the arc it started, and it actually had the opportunity to be like,
I knew it,
a good feeling movie where
an impossible premise.
Well, I was actually surprised to see they started off kind of with like a Jurassic World type beginning, in Jurassic World where they kind of, for some reason, just make the parents going through a divorce, and it just doesn't. They're like, oh, they're going through a divorce, so you guys are going to Jurassic World for the day while we sign all these papers or something, and it's just this odd plot point, and the aunt who's taking care of them all doesn't like kids, and she makes it very clear that she doesn't like kids, and then she has to like take care of kids, and like that's kind of they tried to recreate the
and then
Grant
becomes the best aunt ever.
Yeah, the Dr. Grant, which was a different Dr. Grant had a different point. He was obsessed with his work, and he was his friends and his loved ones were trying to push him to let go and move on to the next stage of life of having kids, right? So that was different. It wasn't like I'm a businesswoman and I'm never like kids are just repulse me. He just didn't know how to handle them, and then he found out that he did know how to handle them, right? So that was his growth through the movie while all the dinosaurs were running around.
And it's funny because even when they show him as like not good with kids, it's like, well, that will be useful when like you want to scare them or tell them a scary story. Like he's very like detailed. He'll slice your fat belly.
Yeah. And he takes it to like the kid's stomach. Yeah. But
spilling your guts out.
I mean, it's not fair to compare it to that either. But it felt like the hollowness of the Jurassic World plot with that point. I feel like they were kind of bringing into this, but what I found was I started getting more and more interested in the couple's problems. They were slight, but it seemed like something that needed to be overcome. So it seemed like a bit interesting. So I wanted to kind of see that more and then see it grow over the course of the movie while all this psycho stuff is also happening. Mm-hmm. Like there's no surprise.
That's fun.
You know what I mean?
That's a good idea. I've never done that. That's like watching one basketball player just to see how many rebounds he can get in one game. Yeah. It's like, let's see how consistent this thing can be.
Right.
I like that. I'm gonna do that.
I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to get hooked into it. And the acting isn't great. And it's the same dad from the Lyle Lao Crocodile, which is, like a kid movie. I don't like that movie, but Leo really likes it, and we spent, an entire summer watching
He
it
did
on
well.
repeat. And he plays the same character in that, the same, dad who doesn't have any balls, um, in that one. So he's definitely typecast. If you watch that movie and then watch this right after, you might think it's a sequel. Like, oh, I guess he moved on to this lady, and it's a
I'm
bit
trying to
different.
think who it is.
I'm
only seeing John Cusack, but I know it's not him.
Yeah, it's like a thinner. It's like John Cusack never went for a walk or lifted a weight, and I don't know if that's the actor's fault. Like, I think he's probably getting cast as weak husband or weak male, and
right, yeah, you look like a guy who is a weak male. You're not a weak male. You just look like a guy who is.
But it had this strong
Wait a
theme.
minute.
Like it had this theme that could have come to like a crescendo at the end. Like it could have. You've got toxic
Well, you can
like
spoil it. So
actual toxic no, I mean, I can talk about it without breaking it, but I want to say,
so hard for me.
like, there's toxic masculinity in the, like, actual not like woke toxic masculinity, but like actual bad behavior on
What,
McAvoy's
like
behalf, right? So it starts off,
get on your knees
yeah,
and in the kitchen, like that kind of like
no,
stuff that, like, Thompson Detail Shop guys talk about.
no, it was
Guys
it
who
was like,
never really talk to a girl.
it was good and gradual. Like it was like, hey, let's do this. Or
Javier
it's like,
Bardem.
it's like, hey, let's jump off. And the kid's like, I'm scared. And he's like, you're gonna jump off. Like, all of a sudden he just kind of gets this like angry dad type energy, but it's like
Switch.
way more over the top than you'd expect. So everything that happens with them happens in a politeness type way, where they can't
Oh.
escape what's
Oh
going
yeah.
on with McAvoy, because they're tied into this. They're very
Like,
anchored
well,
in their,
okay. We'll go.
right.
We said we would go.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Bound by
It's like
politeness,
it,
bound by manners.
just because he, drowned that puppy an hour ago, like, maybe we should go and still, like, have dinner because we said we were going, right? It would be rude, to not, like there's a lot of that going on in the movie. Not that he drowned a puppy. There's no drowned puppy, but
right, he like punched his kid or something, and they're like,
there's like
"Yeah, we'll sleep
uncomfortableness.
over again." It's like,
So
what? No.
it's yeah. By one point in the movie, you're like, why, like, why, why are you doing this? But
It's like at the end of Game of Thrones when Tyrion was a prisoner, but he was like, Bran should be king. It's like, you're a prisoner. Shut the fuck up. Go to jail. You don't make
everyone
any
knows I'm a
decisions.
popular character. It's like, no,
Yeah, right.
not in the world. And
this is too quick. Or
that's just in TV Guide. It's different.
Scott McNairy. Yeah, he is, as they say, beta Max.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. So I mean, that's what most of the movie is, but
he just doesn't look like an intimidating person. That's all.
But it was him kind of. It started going sort of Amityville-esque, where he's kind of, he wants to be more like McAvoy because he's so alpha. So he's losing his family because he's so beta. So it's kind of like it had a nice rhyming theme to the whole thing, and I was like, oh man, if this works out, where it's like this beta guy, George McFly's it at the end, all of a sudden he finds his inner strength and, defends his family and, like, shows his wife that he, what he actually cares about, and speaks his actual mind, and doesn't worry about all, like, the little nuances of, text messages and all the other nonsense that goes on in life. I'm like, this could actually be like a really uplifting horror movie,
pretty layered.
And they were like, no. Like, it gets to the third act, and you can actually feel it's almost like they're going to use a different camera and a different crew and like different actors. Like they should have just changed everything about the movie, because all of a sudden they just changed the rules. And the third act has a really good introduction, but then everybody just becomes idiots. It turns into like Home Alone a little bit, where or like a
Oh
video
God.
game. It didn't need to
Somebody gets
go
tarred and feathered, glued
that
and
route.
feathered.
Yeah, yeah. It just
Now
did
you're
not.
dead.
And all of the
You look like a chicken.
all of the subtlety from earlier in the movie, where it's like, oh, like maybe they're not so bad, maybe like everything's okay. Like you, you have that little bit of doubt, and then when the third act starts, they're like, nope, like here's our whole plan, like here's everything, like we're just giving it to you. Now we're super evil,
Oh
and
my
it's
God,
over.
like
I'm like,
Austin Powers.
yeah,
I'm going to explain my evil plan, and then I'm going to
yeah.
leave and assume everything goes according.
What? What goes? And
That's
you
the
kind of,
best.
yeah, you actually have that. I had that same response that Scott had, right? I'm just like, just get your gun and shoot him.
I have a
It'll be
gun
something we do together, right? It's father son thing,
in my room.
right?
No.
And I was just
Scotty.
yelling at the screen, and just
Zip
like
it.
moment after moment after
That's
moment, I was like, they're not going to give him anything. Like anytime there was a moment where the husband had a chance to even just do a little thing, he messed it up. Every single moment. He's got the jump on one bad guy, and he goes to jump on him, and the guy immediately takes his weapon away, and then his wife comes in and saves him. And then there's they're all trying to like escape over like a rickety ladder, and it just keeps happening over and over. Like they can't keep doing this to him. Like you were building him up that he was already beta. Making him beta at this point doesn't change anything. You're just like, hey, we told you
beta
he's
fish.
beta, so what do you expect? It's like, well, I expect a movie to happen.
So he doesn't, like, he just continuously fails, and then he has no redemption.
It's not even that he fails. It's also that the world that he's
Sucks.
in doesn't allow for him to succeed. Like the movie just it's not really him failing, it's the movie going like, "No, you don't get to do
Wow.
that." Like you don't
Really?
get to kill that person
Scoot.
like the wife does. You don't get to stop these people, the wife does. You don't get to do this, the wife does. It just keeps happening over and over. And then at the final moment, I'm like, okay, at least give him this. I'm screaming at the screen. I'm like, at least give him this. You have to at least give him this. And he's right there, like standing over like the main bad guy, and it's like, I'm like, okay, just give it to him. Just give it to him.
Like the
And then
final shot.
he just backs down and walks away. I'm like,
Takes the high road.
no, it wasn't the high road. It was the wrong road. It was just bad.
It was the keep this guy alive road because he's
Yeah.
good.
And it ends up perpetuating
No,
the
he
toxic
isn't.
masculinity theme towards the end. So then they're like, you're left with like a question mark. You're like, okay, great. So since he couldn't be a man, now everyone else in the family is screwed. So then they leave, and they're all still screwed. And it just made me so angry. I'm like, this could have been so good for like a beta male to find his calling, and
Right.
not go full, McAvoy's character, right? But find that middle ground, tell McAvoy what he's doing wrong, and find his own path. Like that would have been an amazing ending to that movie, and I would have been like, that's got to be one of the better horror movies, because it's like uncomfortable, and it kind of would make it even a better date movie too,
Oh, right.
as
Yeah.
far as a scary movie. But
Yeah.
I was so mad at it. I'm like, how could you do that? It was just such a waste. And so much of it was like so predictable. It wasn't, like I said, it's still like a Hallmark movie. It's like a TBS movie. Yeah, if you figure out the plot in the first three, if you figure out the plot from watching the trailer, that basically was the movie. Like it tells you the whole movie. So
Yeah, right. Like my expectations were I just wanted to see McAvoy
McAvoy was great.
cut loose again. You know, I'm
Yeah.
usually like a big performance guy. I kind of can like wiggle around if the performances are good, and that's what I got in Joker Folie à Deux. But like in the title alone, like the folly of two, it's like a French psychological term where two people experience the same kind of like insanity or like delusion, the folly of two. But I think it's also like a nod of like the folly of a sequel. Like it's like don't like doing this is like not and you can feel that going into it. Like he does not like this character is its own Joker and it has its own story and it's like and that I didn't like kind of like I didn't that didn't hit me for like a while. I didn't realize like, oh geez, God, he really like just kind of I mean, there's sprinkles here and there, but like kind of just did his own
When you say he,
way
are you
with it.
talking about
Matt Reeves, the guy who wrote it and directed it. Not Matt Reeves, Todd Phillips. That's what I'm saying.
the way he wrote the character is different, but it is supposed to be the same character.
Yeah, it's the same character from the first one, but I just mean like, the whatever 70-year canon of the Joker. He didn't I mean, he does, but he doesn't. It's really just this guy in this movie. I'm trying not to spoil anything because to really talk about it, I'd have to like just open it up. So we'll just wait until because I was like on the phone with Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I really want to get into it because there's one thing that I can get into. It has nothing to do. It won't spoil the thing. It's not even really anything about the movie. But I was like, I want to talk to you about it, Rye, but I just can't because it's just different. And, I know the early reviews were like, it sucks, it's stupid. But like 15 minutes into it, maybe less, it's I would say like 50% musical.
Yeah. I heard
so
that.
like when the music starts, like when Joaquin starts singing, there were like 15 seconds into it, dude, I almost just stood up and got out. I was like, I can't, I'm not gonna be able to get through this. But I was like, just sit through this song. Like Lady Gaga's in it. Like how bad could it be? And it didn't seem like an original song. So I'm like, maybe they'll sing stuff that I recognize. And
but it could be cool. I mean, I don't know how it went, but it would be cool if the whole song was the delusion, if it was just an enter, like you're visualizing their insanity. It could be kind of like what do you call the David guy? What was his name? Legion, right? Like the Legion show, where every episode you watched, you weren't sure if you were watching a delusion or you were watching something that was actually happening. Because the episode would end and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, like I never got out of bed today," and you're like, "Wait, but what was the whole half hour I just watched?" So it would just be, it could be something like that where it's just like a hiccup of a dream that he's having, a Mario 2, if you will, or so.
Yes,
I can see it working.
You're sniffing. So it was Sunday, after the 4 days alone with the girls, and I'm like, I have that weird feeling where I'm like, okay, just chill out and just enjoy yourself. Like just, you put in good time. And I'm like, I heard this movie sucks. And there was like, I don't think anything really else. Maybe the substance to me more. I want to see that because it looks crazy and it's getting a lot of good reviews. But anyway, timing wise, I was like, I got to see this Joker. And I like loved it. Loved it. Like just as a movie, man. And as like a movie from that original movie,
Mhm.
Everything that happened, I was like, and like, don't make another one. Good job.
Right.
Great job. And like, and it, I think it has to do with my age and just where I am. But I was like, that was really good. They had to make a sequel because the first one made $1 billion. And, and that's just pretty much all I can say
Yeah.
without giving away anything. Lady Gaga kind of blew me away again with just her like charm, because sometimes she's singing to herself in the mirror, like putting makeup on, and I'm like, God, she's just so good. She's just so good when she's just her, not like
Yeah.
that weirdo playing the piano
Right. Yeah.
on stage. And it, and I mean, Phoenix is just from another planet. He's
I,
crazy. He's so good.
when I heard about the movie, I wondered how they were going to balance Harley Quinn, who I think is sort of an abused character in both senses of the word, like
Pretty
abused by
much.
the Joker, but also just plugged
Oh
into
yeah,
so many
true.
things now. Yeah, just
Very meta.
overused and really shouldn't be. Um,
Margot
but in
Robbie, Kelly Cuoco, and Harley Quinn, and Lady
yeah,
Gaga are all currently playing Harley Quinn.
yeah, and her origin in the animated series, she was kind of beaten
It was
down
nothing.
by the Joker, and it was kind of a different dynamic. So the Joker, she was there, she was, basically hugging his leg, wherever he was going, she was following, and, it seemed like she would get annoyed at times, but he was sort of commanding her and not really affectionate back towards her. And you saw the first Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, um, he in his delusion for the girl down the hall and stuff, he was
Oh
very
yeah,
sweet, like, he was weird, but he was very sweet, right? And so it's
he was
not
just mirroring her humor.
but he wasn't being, like, abusive or domineering or anything like that. And so I was trying to understand how Harley Quinn fits in for a non-domineering, um, and almost needy Joker, right? So I was thinking maybe towards the end of the first movie, in that moment and then moments that followed, maybe that's where he got some confidence. Maybe that's where he, maybe became obsessed with some of the power. And it wasn't just him overcoming these little things of, stand up comedy or standing up to his mom or confronting the Waynes or something like that. It actually becomes more. So, yeah, I mean, I'm
Well, it's
excited to
very.
see it.
Look, it's just I liked it because it was just super like realistic. Like it's like, okay, well, what happened after he did that in the real world? What happens?
Yeah.
Like he
It,
got arrested,
it would have been
but
kind of
he
cool.
he was huge, so now he's gonna face trial. This is in the trailer, so
What
it's
if, what
no
if, what if instead of
surprise.
going this route where they kept the Joker going, what if they were like, "Hey, we need a sequel"? And they're like, "Okay," and they let Jim Carrey come back as the Riddler, but as a serious Riddler, like as
I,
just like
ah,
just stand. I mean, the Penguin show's doing pretty well. I've still been enjoying it. It has its moments where I'm like,
I like how
okay,
they showed that part from the movie,
yeah,
the docks flooding, and I was like, oh, geez, it did take out like apartments.
yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That
And
flashback looked a lot better than
the hangman,
the Hawkeye flashback. Where they flash back to I don't
the
know,
cartoon,
Avengers Day or whatever.
the Battle of New York.
The Battle of New York. Yeah. So yeah, that's been going
On
pretty
this
well.
day,
Like
the Avengers assembled.
it's still like I feel like I'm still like the Penguin's still on its hors d'oeuvres and it hasn't quite gotten to the meal yet. I'm waiting for
Yeah, I know.
the meal to happen. It's like a lot of snacking you know, and
Yeah,
it's like
right.
this back and
It's a
forth
lot of
with
like
the
first level boss, second level boss. Like, okay,
right. I'm like, okay, but
who does he need to take out
what's the
besides
end
Hangman?
goal? Yeah. It's turning
But I
him
love that first scene, dude. When he
that
blows away
opening
that
scene
kid, I'm
was
like, oh Jesus!
and his
He's
reaction,
gotta
yeah.
like hide this the whole time. Yeah. Oh fuck.
Mm. Well,
That
at
was a
first
great
he
opening.
laughs, right? That was great. It was just like he really
Yeah.
enjoyed it, and then he came back to reality. Um,
Fuck.
but I mean, again, you know, great acting. But I don't see why you couldn't do that. You know, like you could even do a Mr. Freeze or something like that and make it. I mean, the kids were really impacted watching the Mr. Freeze animated series episode. They were like, "What? Like I thought he was robbing places and he's bad, but he's trying to save his wife." And they're like, "I don't know how to feel now. I
With
don't
the
know
red eyes.
like who's the real
Right. Yeah,
bad
I
guy here,
know.
you know?" And it's like Batman
It was like
stopping him,
it's
but
like it's like Michael Dawson. If I was Michael Dawson, screw y'all. Me and my kid are out of here. Bye. Maybe I wouldn't have killed Alice and Libby. Would have shot
but
them in the leg or something.
I mean, it could still be done. There's no reason why they couldn't do that still. But I mean, I had been asking for a standalone Joker movie, you know, since
Yeah.
high school. I always thought
I
that
want
could stand on its
Riddler.
own. I think
Like
a
get
Riddler.
some genius Riddler. Like riddles in movies are always fun, and if you could like really, a killer script with riddles would be amazing.
And really, stick to I mean, the way they did the Joker was kind of special with because you started believing the sickness, and so for each of these, you have to start believing the sickness, right? So for the Riddler, it has to be about being the smartest person in the room, and the
Mm-hmm.
moment you're not, you start falling apart, right? Or for Two-Face, that it has to be chosen by the coin, stuff like that, like no matter what it is. And or you could even, you could go Poison Ivy or something like that too, just to kind of break it up.
Dude,
Those could be
Poison Ivy,
standalone movies
especially
without
now, like
Batman. Yeah.
that's why she's so good in that. Like she's such a useful character in that Harley Quinn cartoon because with what we know about plants and shit now compared to like probably then, there's just a lot more you can do.
Yeah.
Her superpowers are kind of like endless with cool things you can do with weird plant science, botany.
Yeah, you could
Good
definitely
old
expand on
botany.
it. And it could be all true, so it could be kind of fun.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It could be like, oh,
and you could
that would happen
easily,
actually.
I mean, I don't,
No one really knows that.
You could make it go down like the climate change protesting route, and feed into it, eat that up. It could work out,
Yeah.
like I'm saving the
Someone
earth,
like,
right? Like
yeah,
she
like
kills
someone
people to
tricked her
save
and she was
rose
thinking
bushes.
she was saving Earth.
Yeah.
She was really like poisoning it.
It could be good.
But
That could
anyway,
be a show too, or
it's.
something.
I think people are bashing it because it's just not. Dude. It just. The whole time I was like, what are we? What is like? It just all made sense. It just all made sense, and I was just like, God, that was a good movie. If I made a Joker movie, it wouldn't have been even close to this. It wouldn't have looked anything like it. But I still was like, gosh, what a smart guy. Like the writer and the director. Like just probably a smart move to do what he did. And we'll get into that in another episode after Michael sees it.
Yes.
I'm glad that Speak No Evil wasn't until like 7:30 because I wanted to see that. But I'm kind of over the whole like obvious man belittling. The next movie that this guy's in, the beta suit or snoot or whatever his name is, the next movie he's in is called Night Bitch.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And he's the star.
Yeah, it just says self.
It's Amy Adams, I think. Yeah. But I'm like, Night Bitch, God, man, you're just cast. Scoot McNairy. Drop the
Scoot.
scoot.
Yeah.
Drop the scoot. Scoot.
I mean,
scoot
he
to
plays that well. It's just they just need to give. I don't know.
Right? Yeah, they need to give him a win.
It could have just been all about. It could have been a movie about masculinity. Like that's what it could have been about. It could have been a horror movie, but it could have had the theme of masculinity with the sons, with the husband. You know, like it could have with the dad, between the dad and the daughter, between the dad and the husband, between the dad and another dad. You know, like it could be the full dynamic of masculinity and what you do when you're, and then back to your roots, you know, back to when you're pushed to the edge. And it could have been way better for doing that. But instead
That's a good idea, actually.
It just dropped the ball.
Different responses. But I do enjoy when men are made like fools in movies, and I'm watching them with my wife because I'm like, bitches, aren't you lucky? See, I don't do what those idiots do.
No, but
I don't try to kill nor fail at every turn.
But watch it, like it'll just end up being like, oh, that reminds me of the time you did this, and it's like, no, I'm not that guy.
Right, yeah, right. No, I'm not that character from that bad movie.
So I don't recommend. I feel like they should go back and shoot the last act and redo it. Just undo everything they did, and everything was fine up until that point. Just redo the last act. And the entry into the last act was actually really smart. It was really smart. It was a good surprise hook, if you could say, to like bring you back into the haunted house type thing. You know, to make you run back towards Jason instead of running away.
Man,
and
the trailer gave away everything. Like everything that you're saying, I'm like, I knew that was going to happen from the trailer.
Yeah,
God, trailers. Dude.
That's what I mean, though. But that's what I mean.
It's almost like they shouldn't do trailers anymore.
But if the movie had surprised you with the theme that it was actually about, then it would have paid off, because it doesn't matter about the other stuff that's going on. It matters what this guy does in that situation. And in most cases, you're just trying to see people, you know, it's just deep blue sea. Like you're just trying to see people stay alive, and they're all one dimensional. I like music. Like I'm a scientist. Like, and like, then you're like, oh, I hope the scientist lives, or the, you know, but this,
like most M. Night Shyamalan movies, they have the generic characters.
Right. Like everybody has like their little
outgoing.
One guy has a lighter.
Inquisitive, maybe autistic.
Yeah. Right. And is always carrying around this one thing that'll help them in the third act.
Yeah.
Why did you bring that?
I know.
Don't worry about it, man.
It's so true. It's like another thing I'm trying to like list. I'm like, what is in every movie?
Yeah.
And that's getting annoying.
Well, that's what kind of made this fun, though. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it came in so generic. True. You know what's going to happen. You know what the beats are going to be. You know what's going to keep them around, and it almost becomes comedic, because you're like, it's like they stay in a dangerous situation because of politeness, and I found that intriguing throughout the movie. You know, like
that's
these
a fun
social
theme, though.
Right? These social things that keep us tied.
I smash that. Heather like sometimes can get like dumb with her politeness. I'm like, it is time to go. Right. Like we're, you know, like our kids' sleep is getting ruined because you're being too polite. Right. You have to stop.
And that's what it was. But instead of you saying it, it was the wife saying it. And then the husband's like, no, we need to be nice, you know? And I'm like, what is happening? Now, uppercut. There was sorry to keep talking about it, but it's like there was a good twist. There was a good moment where he actually did stand up and told his wife no, but he was agreeing with the evil dad. So it was like a situation where he was like, no, actually, this is going to be good for the kids. Like, go up there and do it again. The wife was like, no, honey, stop. And he's like, no, go do it, and he started getting there. That's why I was like, oh, he's trying out, being the other guy. Like
his balls.
He's starting, his balls are descending. And he's becoming a man. Now he's overstretching. He's attacking his wife and his kids in a way that he probably shouldn't be, right? But he's also he's not coiling back, and he's actually making a friggin' decision. So the fact that he actually makes a decision in that scene, I was like, oh, is this what they're going to do? I'm like, this could be really fun to take us the rest of the way through the movie, because it'll be him. It'll be like a Superman 3 fight between Clark and Superman, like who's going to win? Like, is he going to go too far and unleash, like, is he going to go alpha, but then go really far past it and not be able to rein himself in and become the monster he's hunting? Or it could have been so good. It could have been really good.
See, that's what I thought you were gonna say happens, but they didn't. But like then his the wife killed him. I'm like, wouldn't it be crazy if like he kills too many people at the end by saving them?
Yes.
I was like, God, they could really flip it. Like, I'm going to save everyone. I'm going to save my family. Honey, no, you're a bitch. And then the daughter gets killed too.
Oops. Yeah, it could. I mean, you could have gone too far. You could have gone just right. Either way would have been fine. It would have been a learning.
True, right.
It would have been some change from what he was. But instead, it was just, he started at this note and he just stayed at that note all the way through. And for one moment, there was a blip. And then the whole way through the end, they were like, here's his opportunity. Nah, just kidding. Here's his opportunity. Nah, that's not going to happen. Here it comes again. Nope. He made the worst choices in every situation. And he's too weak. He can't do anything. But still worth a watch, I would say, just so you can agree with me.
Yeah, I want to dip my toe, and I want to look out for these things.
You could wait till it's on like a service or something, though.
Yeah, but I'm excited for you to see Joker.
I do want to see Joker. We just have we have the vow renewal and Halloween coming up.
Wait, is it your vow renewals or your parents?
Ours.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, ours.
Because I think your parents already did that. Oh. Or they did that recently? At a time in the last 30 years? Let's just say, yeah.
I don't think they did.
Maybe it was...
I remember a vow renewal.
The Whites and your parents.
My grandparents did at their 50th. At their 50th, they did a vow.
Oh my God!
But yeah, I mean, it'll be quick. It'll be a short thing, and they're gonna record it, so I'll put it up on the tube, so you can see it.
Did you write them for your wedding?
No, you're not allowed to in a Catholic wedding. You have to just read it, and for this, I'm not allowed to either. So. I'm fine with that.
No pressure. No pressure.
Well, I want to go like you get to go like this, right? You don't. I didn't. I guess I'll just read this. Right? Like you don't have to put it into words.
The only I heard one good vow reading from a guy that like wasn't cringy, and he had a great line where he was like, "I remember the first time I saw you." And my first thought was, she's so out of my league. And now, as we're standing here right now, I still think that you're so out of my league. I can't believe we're getting married. I was like, and everyone like roared and cried. And I was like, that's a great one. Establish that you've outkicked your coverage.
We used to do this. We used to watch a lot of the Australian Married at First Sight. Which in Australian law, they can't actually get married at first sight, so they're just dating at first sight. But but they always had the vows in the ceremony.
No.
And it never made any sense to me. I'm like, can we just skip this part, because they're saying vows that mean nothing. They're like,
it's like
I
wrestling.
promise to stick with you, even though we've never met, and it's like, yeah.
But it's like, I'm going to end your career.
That show escalated quickly. It was like the first season was awesome. It was like 8 people. Second season was good. And then the third season, they were like, we are going to crank this to 11. And all of a sudden it became 60 episodes or something like that a season that are an hour long. And we would watch the whole season and we'd be like, wait, hold on. Did we just watch 60 hours of TV? Like how just for this season, it's insane.
It's just too because nothing happens. So you're just waiting for something to happen and time just
no, they cranked it up. No, they cranked it up. They were because they started having dinner parties. So they would have they would get 8 people married, and then they'd all come to a dinner party together and just see each other's wives. And
so other people are
yeah, right. Because then it's oh, that person's really attractive. I'd rather be with them and all this stuff. And then they'd have to go back to their own apartments. And then about halfway through, 8 more people get married and come in. And
dude, I watched so much of that
so dumb,
crap,
such trash. Yeah,
before Heather, that I'm like, there's no end to these unless it's a competition. But even that is pretend. I'm like, this is just like wrestling, but there's no wrestling in it.
I'll say the first season
wrestling. They
pretend, I think the first season
they do the same thing.
Yeah, the first season felt very real. It felt very not rehearsed at all. And there's lots of dead spots and actual arguments that you could tell were real arguments and stuff like that. Later on, it just becomes
right. It wasn't as tightly edited. It was oh, just don't.
Yeah, later on they're just it's just them hanging out. In the first season, it's them hanging out on a couch, and actually having to go to work and stuff like that. And then the later ones, it's just all follower. All right, here's my Instagram. Bless you.
I couldn't hit the mute button fast enough.
It's all good.
Rye watches Love on the Spectrum.
That's fun.
And I'm like, that one has to be the least, rehearsed, or maybe the most rehearsed. I don't know.
Well, it's the closest you'll get to kids. It's like kids say the darndest things, right? So,
right, an authentic.
They're like, I don't like you. I'm uncomfortable. I'm leaving. And they're like, okay, go, bye.
You're fat.
And then they just leave. Yeah. No, they don't.
It's
it's not stuff like that.
It's you're 400 pounds. There's one guy that's like, I need a skinny girl.
Yeah. I need a skinny. Yeah, some of them
huge.
But it's yeah. But then sometimes they seem to get along, and then an episode later, they're like, "No, we don't like each other anymore." I'm like, okay. I feel like the crew,
right? They don't know how to
key moment
tiptoe.
Somewhere in there. Yeah, I do.
They don't know how to tiptoe, so they can flip flop like that.
Yeah, they're decisive. They all of a sudden they're just looking down like this, and they're like, "Do you want to leave?" And it's like, "Yep," and then they just bolt.
What's wrong? I don't know. A lot.
It's fun because it's what we all feel internally when we were on dates. But you don't have a producer walking you through the date, and also somebody that can just tap you out, where it's I need a break, I need to go somewhere and collect myself. I can't eat any more Munchie Mania at the moment. I'm having a chain reaction in my stomach, and
my pants don't fit anymore. They're broken. They broke as I was eating this.
My first date was such a tragedy. It was Shakespeare could have written a beautiful play of just how terrible it was. It was so
your first date ever?
Yeah.
Because I don't even know if I remember my technical first date.
I mean, it was a big thing because the girl asked me out, and so then I was like, well, I better be ready. But then my dad got in my head that I needed to be home by curfew, or the cops would be after me or something like that. And so then I spent all my time thinking about how the cops were going to get me if I stayed out too late. And I was thinking like, all right, you have dinner.
They're looking for
over-prepared.
A signal goes off on their car when 17-year-olds are out past 10:30.
They're going to be like,
and they all know exactly. Agnew, swarm, get him.
We've got a 93 Honda Accord with an antenna that doesn't seem to be going all the way up when he turns the radio on. This must be a young kid. Let's pull him over. It's just over.
What does he look like? 6 foot, male, white.
Well, I ate dinner before I went on it because I didn't want to look like I was stuffing my face during the date. So I ate dinner and then went on the date, and then didn't eat any of my
the things to like be worried about.
And then the waitress made me take the food. She's like, "You barely ate that," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." And she's like, "No, you're taking that with you." I was like, "Okay, Mom." Like she was just like a mean aunt. Like I was at one of those mean aunt restaurants or something, but it was just friendly.
Right. Like don't put your elbows on the table restaurant.
Yeah. So I had to take my quesadillas with me.
And have that in the car for the ride home. That's always great.
Yeah. And then I was just tied to, I'm like, okay, so you do dinner and then you do a movie. And I was like, all right, I like movies, but I don't know what movies to pick. Because there were like, back then there was like 2 movies that were playing on a given night, especially if it's like a Tuesday, when you're going out. And so we went to
weird with
Holy Man.
with Steve Martin?
Eddie Murphy.
Oh, Eddie Murphy. Holy Man. God, I don't even remember that.
Like it was a bomb. Like it was a terrible movie.
I don't remember that at all.
No. Neither do I really.
Man?
Holy Man.
Oh, now I'm kind of remembering it. It's funny, like with certain girlfriends, I'm like, how did we pick these movies? Or was I just like, I want to see it, let's go. Like I'm so like baffled that I just because I used to go a lot. Heather doesn't like movies, but like with girls in the past, we would go a lot, and I'm like, how did we even? Because now I'm like always so nervous to bring anyone to a movie. I'm like, if they don't like it,
well,
halfway through, I'm going to be like, let's just leave.
I mean, now we go to actually watch the movie. A lot of times there, we were just trying to find a place to go for a while.
That is how long
a park
it has been. That's even like a great Dane Cook joke. He's like, he just says, you want to come over and watch a movie?
Yeah.
It's the ultimate like ask because no one can say no because everyone loves movies, cinematic adventures.
I almost had, how Seinfeld has like he made out during Schindler's List. It's like, I made out during Angela's Ashes. That was not.
I made out during Titanic.
Yeah, but Titanic is like romantic at least. This was like children dying.
True. True, but it won 12 Oscars.
I don't know.
What did you watch? What did
I didn't see any of it. It was Angela's Ashes. I didn't even know what it was. It was just Ashes. It was just I knew it. I picked movies that were in the theaters for a while, so I knew nobody would be there, and nobody was. It was a Tuesday night. Had the whole theater to ourselves. Made sense. But yeah, it was. But I did not know what the topic of the movie was. I just picked it based on the timing of it. I didn't know it was going to be about like the potato famine and like people dying. And so like anytime we'd look up, it would just be like I'm dying, like babies, like all emaciated. And I'm like, okay. So it was not romantic.
Angela's Ashes. I mean, God.
I mean, I just had terrible dates.
Anyone's ashes is pretty grim.
I just did very bad.
Well, wait. So you went to the Mexican restaurant. You didn't eat any of the food, so you looked real manly. You're like, I'm watching my figure. I wore my skinny
I wasn't manly. I tore up the paper placemat underneath it, like into shreds. Like where I tore it an inch like rips all along the outside and then ripped each individual one in between off. I was just sitting there like being super nervous. I hadn't been on a date. I didn't
Watching
know.
her eat.
I felt very intimidated that
How old were you? Was this 9th grade? Freshman, yeah, LaSalle. When we were basically cavemen for a year.
No,
the worst.
Yeah, well, I guess it was 16. So yeah, it was probably, I was driving, so it had to be probably sophomore year.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when, but Holy Man was in theaters. Look it up.
Oh yeah,
at the Eric.
Good call.
Yeah.
Oh, at the Eric 9. Holy man!
But it was raining, so I couldn't go anywhere. And then I left. I was like, hey, because it was like 10:30. The movie started at like 9 or something, or like 9:30 or something. I'm like, hey, it's 10:30. I gotta go home for curfew. So I drove her home. And then didn't even like walk her to the door, and it was like, I'm like, it's pouring rain. I'm like, here you go. So she probably just thought
it was junior year,
like her. Junior year,
the beginning of our junior year, 98.
That seems way late for a first date.
October 9th, 1998.
Really?
Eddie Murphy, October. Jeff Goldblum, Kelly Preston.
Wow.
John Cryer, Betty White. How did this movie suck?
Oh, it just doesn't have any sort of flow. It had a lot of people
Henderson,
in it.
Morgan Fairchild. Right. I know.
It just had nothing to it. It was like a contractual make this movie thing.
Right.
And he had just made like Boomerang and Daddy Daycare and
he was on fire.
Yeah.
The Professors.
Right. Yeah, the Nutty Professor. Yeah. So like he had to make that one or something. I don't know. It was terrible.
Like a 10 picture obligation.
Yeah. Exactly. So
this sucks.
It was a bomb.
Make it.
Never got asked for a second date. Still talk to her.
I'm trying to think of my first date. I mean, dude, I bet it was junior year too. With Catherine Radvansky.
That couldn't have been your first date, though, right?
I think so, though.
Yeah, like an actual date, not just like hanging out with a group of people.
Like we're going out to a movie together, and like I drove. Yeah, sophomore year when I had my car, a bunch of skanks. So stupid.
Oh man. All right, you want to?
So what do the masses have for us today?
We've got 5.
Besides the flooding.
We don't have to get them all, but
whoa, we're very tiny. How about North Carolina, man? Like that hurricane just dumped water into the mountains, and it's like, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just sitting in the mountains.
Is that like what's happening right now?
Well, yeah, it's like, that system up there isn't like draining,
right?
Because it's just not used to it, and so they're like houses up to here in water in Asheville,
and it's just staying there
where I've been.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully the sun will do its best, but it's not like it's summer.
That's crazy. There wasn't too much damage at my cousin's house in Orlando, so they lost like parts of their yard and stuff, and it felt like the house was gonna lift off the ground. They said, but it didn't. So that's good. I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm just saying that, like, it's just ridiculous.
At the last second, the eye like split, and you were like, "Oh, it like didn't die, but it like wasn't really even a hurricane." By the time it hit land, dude, we were watching it like it was the Super Bowl. It was so weird.
Yeah,
with our neighbors.
I can't imagine if you were in like Fort Myers or something like that, like just watching it come at you. Like, okay.
Dude, the whole time they're like projecting it to just make this bank north at like the perfect place that's not going to crush us. Like they're like predicting it to go over Lake Okeechobee, and that's like so far from us. But it did spin off 112 tornadoes and giant tornadoes, like
Jeez.
F3s. Yes. And but I'm like, the only reason it went like this is because that jet stream just pushes it. I'm like, what if the jet stream just takes the day off or something? Like, it's just so weird, so crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just so hard to like wrap my head around. I'm like, but what do you mean the jet stream? Just the wind? It's crazy.
That's nuts.
And then it happened. And it broke it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think Tampa got hit as hard as, but Clearwater, I think, is in pretty bad shape.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully everybody recovers. I feel like Florida, I want to say, is like a bit more used to it, just because you guys get hit so often. But it's crazy, like the 1-2 punch of like North Carolina, and then that. Yeah.
Florida is like the geological structure of Florida is like a sponge, dude. So like water just kind of like drains right out. Like it's so hard for Florida to flood because like it just drains right out because it is like this sand, not dirt. So it like goes through it way quicker. It's like it won't break off or go underwater because it'll just keep floating.
Yeah, right. It just kind of comes back up.
Flip. Yeah, it's like a sponge.
What were all those like
mossy?
Those visual. I kept seeing these things where people were like, "This is what 10 feet looks like, and this is what 15 feet looks like," and they were in this virtual, wall of water and stuff like that. I was like,
this is like early Madden Fox NFL football. When they're like, we can draw on the screen.
Like, all right, people are gonna die, man. Like, what are you doing?
I was like, can we not make a miniature movie about? Can we not make you the star of this little?
Well, they started
CGI short.
They're explaining it like they're Carl Sagan. It's like you don't know this stuff. You're just saying it. Just stop. Like, we all know what 15 feet is. Thank you. Go away.
What was one of my favorite things was watching this guy on YouTube, because there's so many storm weather meteorology kids that were like obsessed with it from when they were 3. Yeah. This guy, dude, on Wednesday had like 90,000 subscribers. Yesterday he ended with 550,000.
Wow.
Like he gained whatever in 2 days. And he's awesome. He has like friends that take their cars and like go drive to like different points, and they like their cameras are connected to his shit. It's pretty like unbelievable. I'm like, this guy should be kind of showing everybody.
Well, after like the second time you go to weather.com and you're like, what is with these ads? I just want to know the weather. Like, how do you own this domain and treat it so horribly? Like, just tell me where the hurricane is. And it's like, pandas flying through the air. It's like, what? Like, I don't know.
Dude, they have this like wobbler radar that like is just sitting over the hurricane and just showing it.
That's crazy.
Over and over. But it's not, I don't know. They're like, we can't show it to the public. It's not like perfect, but it's pretty amazing because you're just watching it the whole time, not like in little tiny blips every hour.
Right. Yeah. Just leave it on. I'll check in when I'm ready. Yeah. It's like what CNN and all those were supposed to be, where it's like, oh, here's an important thing. Now we're just going to leave this on all day. My favorite thing of those channels, though, where they have the live things, is that they just shut up for a while. It's just silence. Here's the screen. Here's the stuff. And then, 10 minutes go by, and then they're like, all right, I just got some more information, like this, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, all right, I'll check back with you guys later. And it's just, and all the cameras are running. You can
Dude,
devise the information. Like, it's more relaxed. It's not like,
it was
we're
like
all gonna
listening
die.
to a baseball game on the radio.
Right.
It was like every once in a while you would hear like, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still listening to something.
Yeah.
You're like,
I had one of those. Yeah, I had one of those on, and I was doing something, and then all of a sudden, like, the guy came back and started talking, and I'm like, who the hell is in here?
Yes, dude. The guy's name,
silence.
the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
For everyone listening, Next Storm. His name is Max Velocity.
Well,
like first name Max, last name Velocity.
Yeah.
He's great though. He's a super weather nerd. He's like 3 years old. I almost died in a tornado. No, I'm just joking. But like, somebody gave him some kind of tool that, calculates something about weather. And he was like, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I've been obsessed ever since. I'm like, that's awesome then.
That's sort of the guy I want to get information from. Yeah.
Right. The guy who's just been thinking about this shit his whole life.
I mean, I'd go for the mainstream, but it's so sensationalized. Like, you don't know.
Dude, like, it's so.
Are you telling me to leave because I really do need to leave because it'll save my life? Or are you telling me to leave because it'll keep me watching your show?
This dude was like, there's a tornado in Indian County. Get in your safe place now. Like, get in your safe place right now. There's a tornado. They have these things, dude, that can detect if the earth starts like kicking up. So they're like, that's a tornado because nothing else does that. Pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And fun.
Got way into it the last 2 days.
Nice.
A crash course from Velocity. Max Velocity.
What's your name, sir? I missed it. Velocity. Maximum velocity. Dating advice book. All right. My husband, 33, and I, 30, were trying to get ideas for Christmas shopping for each other. He was asking me things I might want and not really being sure. I went to look through an old list of mine on Amazon. There were only a few things in there since I hadn't messed with it for at least a few years, so I opened it up and looked through it while my husband was looking at it too. There was a couple books that I had put on that list, one of which was this male psychology book I remembered seeing a video about. It was described as a book that could help you understand male psychology and how to use it against them. That's what the video, at least. I thought it was an interesting concept, looked it up so I wouldn't forget, and put it on the list, but never went back to it. Now my husband and I have had many ups and downs throughout our marriage, a lot, but this last year has been one of the better times. Things have been all right, but he sees this book and looks more into it. Turns out it's a dating advice book. Now, that's not what I thought it was. I thought it was just another dark psychology book or something. I didn't even read the damn intro or anything. My husband now thinks I was cheating or preparing to leave. I get why he is upset. I'd question it too honestly. Oh, I'd question it too honestly. On my end, it was just a misunderstanding. I thought it was something else, and it turns out I was wrong. On my husband's end, he sees this dating advice book and thinks the worst. It bothers him. He's questioning the whole marriage now and doesn't want to speak to me. There are no dates for the last time the list was updated or when things were put in there. There's no way to prove it was just a misunderstanding. What can I do to make him feel better about this? I've already explained my side of things and what I thought it was. He just doesn't believe me. Any legitimate advice?
No. There's no advice for someone who, like, oh, he won't believe me. You just have to show. I mean, yes, there's advice. Just you got to prove it. You got to go, okay, well, sit back and watch. I was just curious. old dating advice book. Dude, it's just like a book. I remember Heather had a book and it was like, It Ends With Us, or, like the title was kind of like, oh, Jesus. I wonder what happens in that story. Something bad happened to a woman from a man.
Yeah.
Never again.
It's not
like It Ends With Us. That's like kind of like, it's really like, I'm not dealing with this anymore after you.
I mean,
okay. Like, it's just a book.
First of all, I think there is still a technical way you could prove your case. I do feel like the list tells you when something was added into it. That seems odd that it's not in there. I feel like it's there. But if you're saying it's not, then it's not. But I would say, couldn't you just tell by the publishing date of the book that you added it? If it was being talked about in a podcast or a video, then chances are that video still exists. And if it was published in 2008 or something like that, then you could just say, oh yeah, it was probably around then. And that seems more reasonable. Also, to get upset about an Amazon list thing.
Oh my God.
Really, that's
like your husband doesn't want to be with you, and he finally found the excuse, because otherwise you're just insane.
Yeah,
because it's like, who cares, dude? Move on.
Wait, when did you like Doogie Howser? When did you put this box set in your Amazon list?
Self-help. You bitch. You don't help yourself. I mean, God.
I mean, I kind of want to read
just it. To me, it rings of someone looking for an excuse to just turn a mountain out of a molehill and get out.
Well,
cowardice.
I mean, I remember things. I mean, things get sold like that all the time, where it's like, here, this one trick will have women in the palm of your hand. Like, do this one trick to them. There was always that guy in college who was like, yeah, like, I treat women like I just act like an asshole, and then women love me, and it's like, cool.
I can't get them away, man.
I can't get them away. They just keep calling. No,
you're just good looking. You're good looking. They deal with your personality for like a half an hour at a time.
Or you're only pulling like damaged women. Like, it's like, I don't think you're tricking many of them. And I mean, like, we'd get the same thing. If we
this
had
woman's not going to be in charge of any people as an adult.
It's so funny because it's like, if you read an advice book for men to get women, it's going to surround itself with more sex related things. And then if you have a book for women to get men, it's about men's psychology. Like, our psychology isn't that complicated. We hunt, like, we want there to be some sort of hunt when dating. We don't want you to just be like, hi, I'm here for you. I'll never leave. And I think that's kind of both ways. But honestly, most times it's just like, we just want somebody to laugh with in a sandwich. It's not.
We want our own. We want the sun to move at our pace. That's right. Kind of it. It's like, yeah, we're flexible as long as we all understand that I'm being flexible for everyone. Because I don't have to be.
Yes, but I want to acknowledge the fact that I am being flexible.
Someone acknowledge me. That's what the new Roman Reigns guy says. Acknowledge me.
Yeah, it seems a crazy thing to end a marriage over.
Like, I don't know if I've ever accused Heather of being like, I've never been like, I don't believe you. Like, I would have never married someone that, like, after her telling me, this is the truth, then I'm going to believe her right away and be like, okay, move on. But I haven't even gotten there.
I mean, even let's just look at the logic of it. Okay, so she didn't actually buy the book. She placed the book in an Amazon list.
Oh, dude,
How is that
that's
her
all
preparing
so.
preparing to leave
But
you?
that
You're obviously
I
preparing to leave you.
know. That's why I'm like, dude, you are taking such a reach, but I get it. I see the through line, but wow. There's probably an easier one, but maybe not.
Yeah.
What
Why don't you
is
just
today's date?
the 10th?
Thursday. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
mean, what is the week? Day of the week?
yes, Thursday.
The hurricane threw, like, I worked from home today and the kids have it off from school. So I'm like, when are we?
Yeah, right.
John
The
Locke.
hurricane pushed out Wednesday.
Yeah,
Now
dude, it
starting now.
did.
Like
Yeah.
we're back a day.
Yeah.
The Phillies are still in it. Yeah. I don't know. This one,
METS, Mets.
the
I was going to wear a Mets hat.
husband threatening divorce. I think you're also kind of escalating this a little bit. Why don't you just read the book together? Order the book. Read the book together. I don't understand how
Right.
he's
Like,
upset at a book that neither of you own.
no, you got to be like, yo, do you believe me? And then if he says no, you got to be like, well, then okay. So trust is completely gone because I've told you, the pen is blue, the pen is blue, the pen is blue, and you you think that I think it's red. So
Goddamn pen is blue.
I can't make you believe that what I'm saying is the truth anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're at a standstill, pal. And I think he's got to be like, all right, I believe you. Or I don't. And then what? God, get a life.
Yeah.
Piss, poop, or get off.
Yes. You both just need to
even spray fart. Whatever you must.
delete out your Amazon list. You obviously are not able to
fuck off. Also, dude, don't even look. Like, don't concern yourself with that shit.
Well, I don't think it was like looking at text messaging. I think they were going to add something and it was there and it was like, oh, look at this old stuff that I have here. Because if you go back through a list like that, even if you went back through like your Amazon orders, it's kind of cool that they go back until the beginning of time. And you're like, oh yeah, like that's when things flooded and that's when we all had to get new toothbrushes or that's like
That's when all the stores had no toilet paper.
Right, exactly. It's like that's when I thought like every January, every January I buy little bands that I'm going to put around my legs so I can work out.
Every January. Yeah. Yo, like, I can hear you reading. I just need to go fill this up.
All right, I'll get the next one going then.
I'm dry.
Okay. Spinny. I didn't take the other one off.
Rangers are weird.
Let's see. Oh, strangers are weird. Where did that thing go? Oh, back here. Change my wheel of luck. I'll just leave it. Who cares? All right. Strangers are weird. So a woman at Walmart who also had a 3-month-old with her bumped me with her stroller to try and keep me from getting in front of her when there were other people coming down the aisle at us. Then she said, Are you getting diapers too? I said, no, I'm getting my Millicum. Is that the that's like the Millicum? That's like the formula, right? And she asked what it was, and I told her it's for gas. There you go. See. And she said, "Oh, well, I don't give my son that crap." With me, my. With so much attitude. And I responded, well, he throws up way more with formula if I don't give it to him. And she said, well, he throws up too. That's just a part of it. And I kind of laughed her off and tried to walk away from her, even though I still wasn't where I needed to be. She kept going, and her other kid lingered to tell me my baby was cute. I said, thanks. And then the woman comes back and snaps at me. What did you just say? I walked away while her kid was telling her I just said thanks. It was ridiculous. Then yesterday, I was taking him I was taking him in a gas station to change his diaper, and I was waiting for someone to come out of the restroom. When she came out, she said, "Oh," and then held the door for me. I said thanks as I went in, and then she just stayed there holding the door open for an uncomfortably long time. I had to pee so bad, and I also needed to change my kid's diaper, and she was standing there holding the bathroom door open, staring at us. I said, "Thank you," a little more poignantly, and then she left, but it just felt so bizarre. How old will my kid be when people stop being so dang weird?
This is why I'm so thankful for Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David to pinpoint these opportunities and be like, yeah, the way you're behaving is nowhere acceptable. Stop doing it. And like Heather always like stomps my foot when like I do it, but I'm like, I am speaking for everyone right now. Sorry that no one else. It's like
the human race.
Dude, speak no evil. It's like, I'm not going to say anything evil. I'm just going to only say polite and nice things.
Right.
That is not who I was raised by. That is not the cloth from which I am cut. And like strangers are weird. And like there's, I don't know, just watch all 9 seasons of Seinfeld and all 10 of Curb and take that with you. Because we should all be held to a standard, at least.
I mean,
to not be so weird.
Let me say this. I think weird is an odd choice, right? Like
pretty broad.
You ran into a mom who decided to kind of give you a bit of a talking to. Maybe on some level,
I'll give that to my son.
I know, but maybe she even knows more. Like it's also everybody's going to take something. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right? I think, maybe she knows more. Maybe that is a dangerous thing to give them. Maybe it's not natural. Maybe it takes care of the gas, but maybe it's going to cause some other, irritation of the skin or other digestive problems or something.
Right. It helps one thing, but screws with another.
I mean, I don't know. I would maybe then research why she called it crap, right? It's not like anyone's going around saying petroleum jelly is crap or something, but for a while we thought baby powder was fine. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh no, it actually turns out to kill.
Well, it's made from deadly. Yeah.
Right. So it's just sorry.
From wall.
We just had some leftover asbestos, right? So
leftover wall.
Yeah. So it's, maybe just take it as a learning experience in that situation. But the other thing is, you don't know how people are going to react. And when you have a kid, it's an invitation for them to talk to you because they know you're experiencing life. And if they know anything, like if you don't have your kid with you, then you're another person. So you can just float on by, and unless they see something else that ties you to them, they're not going to be able to talk to you.
It's hard to find anything in common with anyone, and a kid instantly makes you have something in common, even with strangers. So there's like this gut thing to be like, hey, we all, how do we do it? That's all just like in there automatically. Like it's almost impossible. It's catch-22 kind of.
I mean, the other thing is everyone was a kid, right? At some point too. So even if they don't have kids, they still want to interact sometimes with kids. We had a situation.
Especially the
cool ones. The last the last podcast we talked about the I talked about the guy at Aldi who was driving around crazy, and I was trying to get Leo kind of past it because I don't know if he was really affected by it, He said he was, but I think it was also just a reason not to go food shopping. So, I'm like, hey, I'm going food shopping. He's like, I can't remember that thing that happened. And I was like, yeah, I remember it, but today's a different day. Like we're not going to go food shopping from now on.
Still working. I'm still processing it, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm still working through it.
So I just kind of pushed him a bit and we worked through it. So he returned the cart just like he did that day and came all the way across the parking lot. And I watched him in the rearview mirror. Like I was all in the car, so it didn't look like I was watching him, but I was. And he hesitated and got real nervous, but then kind of took a deep breath and then, made it across the parking lot and came in. He's like, I got really worried, but then I felt okay and I did it and I felt I'm happy I did, So it was really good. But we got to another we had to go to multiple grocery stores. So we went to the second grocery store and he was like, hey, since I, did that and I overcame, like, can I get some chips? And he actually made a very intelligent ploy because I was like, well, we'll just get a big bag of chips. Because he wanted to get the little bag of like Lay's, like, like you get like a box with a whole bunch of little bags. Like it has like Fritos and Doritos and all the things in it.
Yeah.
So it has like a whole mix in it. And I was like, well, why don't we just get like one bag of Lay's or like one bag of Doritos, and then you can have that as your treat. And he's like, if we just get one bag, is that going to let me try multiple flavors? Like, how am I going to have Doritos and Fritos if we only get Doritos? Won't it be more expensive if we have to buy all the big bags to make the little bags? I was like, that was actually really good logic. I'm like, you win. We'll get a box of these.
You didn't even need to finish, dude.
No.
The fact that you pointed out I could get 4 flavors versus 1. What are we, insane? It's like, and I'm always encouraging, like, try everything, like eat everything.
Yeah.
So he would have sold me quickly.
No, I think he was even surprised because I folded immediately. I was like, nope, good point. All right, so we're gonna get a box. He's like, whoa, I won that. I'm like, yeah, you made a good point. It wasn't like a whine. It wasn't a complaint. It wasn't just like, but that's what I want. You actually brought up a good point. Fair enough. It took years for Kelly to wean me off ordering from Chinese food menus, where I'm just like, I'll order everything. That way I can sample it all, even if it comes to $150 bill and I'm eating it for the rest of the week. And I'm all salted out by the end of the week. So we get there and there's like the box of Lay's, but this store doesn't really do a great job at labeling the prices. And I've been trying to teach the kids, what the prices of everything is. So I was like, all right, well, take the box, go up to the front, ask them how much it is, have them scan it. And I was like, and he's like, I just sent him on his own. I was kind of going around the corner and just like peeking every once in a while just to make sure he, wasn't being gagged and drug out of the store or anything like that. But so he gets in line. And I just
self-checkout.
Yeah, well, there's only like one. This supermarket only has like one line, so he just gets in it with everybody else, and he's waiting in line and just carrying this like big box of like Lay's potato chips, and I do some more shopping, and then I'm like, why is this taking them so long? So I start going up to the front, and I see them putting the box of chips in a bag. Like he's about to leave the store with it. I'm like, wait, what is that? Because he doesn't have any money on him or anything like that. I just told him to go up and figure out the price. So what happened was he was waiting in line, and the guy behind him was like, what are you doing? He's like, I just want to find out what the price of this is. And he's like, well, like, you're a nice kid. I'll just get it for you. Like, like I remember being a kid and I always like wanted chips, and sometimes I couldn't get chips. And he's like, I'll get it for you. And so when I came over,
I was 5 cents short and I couldn't get it.
It was already checked out. And so this nice guy just just bought it for him. And I was like, no, because I felt bad. I'm like, this, because he was like, it was also like all of his, he was like buying a bunch of like 1-person meals and stuff like that. I'm like, like I mean, maybe I was making an assumption, but I just felt like this was extravagant buying for us. I definitely don't want to put it on somebody else. But in the end, I came to grips with it because he was like, no, talking with your son, he made me really happy. He's like, I don't really get to, see my grandkids that often.
Yeah, but I get it.
That,
It's like if I was you, I would have been like, yo, but dude, I'm here. Like, he has enough money.
Right. You're breaking my lesson.
But he's like, yeah, but you're breaking like, me from staying off the roof tonight.
Right.
Like that, like you said, like it made him feel happy. It didn't, money
Right.
wasn't really the issue.
Right, exactly. So it was it was just funny, and then it was even funnier because then I was like, well, how much was it? And Lee was like, I don't know. So we never even got the thing answered.
Well, then we're like, yeah. Well.
But I mean, like there's an interaction because I have a kid, and it was a little weird. It was a little odd, but it was a positive one. So it's like, yeah, you can have a few negative ones, and things can be awkward. But you're also going to have really great ones. So yeah, you got to take it as it goes. It's kind of like that grandma with the candy, right? Remember a few episodes back, we had the grandma with the candy, and the grandma's like, I want to buy. I kind of understand that situation a bit more because that's kind of how this played out, right? Like, I want to get the candy, and it's like, well, I don't want to. Like, if I didn't want Leo to have the Lay's chips, it's kind of like the same situation. Like, oh wait, why are you buying my kid Lay's? I don't want him to have it. He doesn't need potato chips or something like that. So it was a lot like that. So I don't know. I think she's kind of overreacting a bit.
I mean, people are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange. Faces come out in the rain.
Plus, you're in Walmart.
When you're strange.
The other thing.
No one remembers your name. Halsey. When you're strange.
Have you been in a Walmart recently?
Dude. I mean, it's so rare for me to go to Walmart. It's like the only place that has a thing that I don't tell Heather I'm buying. No, like for like a cheap T-shirt for Halloween. Like I think I bought last year a giant red T-shirt for Gaston.
It's
Santa's Belle.
It's the layout of Walmart. Like they're so large, but then there's no room to walk.
It's cluttered. It's very cluttered.
They put these giant pallets in the middle of the walkway, and I feel like all I do the whole time I'm in there is just dodge people, and then I'm finally just like, sometimes I've definitely given up. Like I have a cart of stuff, and I'm like, I can't do it anymore. Like I'm tired of dodging people, and it's a bunch of people in like a bad mood too. So I'm like, I'm just done, and I just push the cart and I just leave. I'm like, you keep all the stuff. I don't know what to do.
I remember when we used to go to Walmart in Hazleton and walk around.
That was a really big one.
I remember there were occasions when we'd go like during normal hours too. And I was always like, this is not good stuff. Like this food is crap. The produce is a joke.
Yeah.
And it's like consistent across the board. Like it's just not good. So I really avoided like the plague.
Almost all the meat, like you can't actually see it. It's just like, trust us. It's in this tube. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Turkey. What do you mean? It's turkey.
It's not gray. No, it's not gray.
It's turkey.
It isn't gray.
It's tube.
It had a beak. Had a beak. Did it have feathers? It had a beak. Now shut up.
It's close enough. It met a turkey once.
Yeah. Knew a turkey.
It knew a turkey.
It hung out with a turkey, and when we shot both of their heads off.
Yeah. Flew in here from Canada. It's a turkey. Right.
Yeah, so, flew in here honking from Canada.
All right. Ready and knock out another one. Strangers. It's not actually what it was. I just felt like mixing it up a little bit. This week has been stressful. My husband slept in today and I got the kids to school. I kept one kid home because of assault that happened earlier this week. Anyway, sure. Okay, I'll just let that sentence go. Anyway.
Hold on, you like muted for like 5 seconds and I kind of lost.
Oh, sorry.
This week has been stressful. My husband slept in today and got the kids to school. I kept one kid home because of assault that happened earlier this week. Anyway, I had just got...
I know. It's like I feel like I trip right at that anyway.
Who was assaulted? All right, maybe she'll get there.
You know.
Sorry.
As one does. You can read it. Why don't you read this one?
All right, I'll read. Anyway, I had just got home and parked my car in the garage. I called to file a police report. I hung up the phone and my husband comes out to get me out of the car. He asks what I am doing. I said, hiding. He walks away offended and says, oh, he's not an evil or bad person. I go in to explain that a kid was home and I was just taking a breather for a second. We got in an argument and he said some mean things, but it made me so upset because the other day, oh my gosh, but it made me so upset. We got in an argument and he said some mean things, but it made me so upset because the other day, nope. I asked him not to bring sweets home as I am trying to help the kids eat healthier. He asked what he has brought home. Recently, so I gave him examples. I think she meant gave.
No.
He said again, he's not an evil person. I said, I've never said you were. Ever. This has happened a lot lately. He gets so defensive. I find it so hard to talk to him about anything these days without spiraling.
I find it hard for you to write a paragraph that actually has a plot. There's a lot of...
Wait. My husband's up today and I got the kids to school. I kept one kid home because of assault that happened earlier.
Forget about that. She doesn't care. But anyway.
I'm like, who's the police report? What is...
Yeah.
There's no question. Which is the best
I had just got home. It's like, okay, so you brought the kids in. You kept one kid home. I guess the kid's in the house. Anyway, I just got home and parked my car in the garage. I called to file a police report, I guess, from the car. I hung up the phone and my husband comes out to get me out of the car. It's a very proactive thing for a husband to do, is like, get out of the car.
Hiding.
This seems like a riddle.
Offended.
It seems like a riddle.
Walks away offended.
The husband
it does,
the
dude.
It
does.
Right?
It does. Yeah. That's why I'm like, we have to read this so many times. I'm like, the great thing is there is no question in here.
But there is a double quote for I'm.
Yeah, I know that one. I had to like tap dance in my eyes. I was like, he asks what I'm doing. I said hiding. That was difficult. I'm trying to help
for the actual quote. That's kind of funny.
It's really bad. He walks away offended and says he's not an evil or bad person. I go in to explain that a kid was home. And I was just taking a breather for a second. What is that? Even that's a strange thing. I go in to explain that a kid was home. And I was just taking a breather for a second. It's like, hey, there's a kid in there. I needed a breather before I go look at it.
Right. It's like the This Is 40 scene where Paul Rudd's, in the bathroom playing on his iPad, but he's not actually going to the bathroom at all. He's like, I just need a break. Just let me.
Exactly.
So, okay. So she wanted to be in the car. I mean, it doesn't sound like she's really taking a breather. It sounds like she just called the police. that seems like an intense phone call to me. That doesn't sound like a Tuesday morning.
Ready? He asked what I'm doing. I said hiding. I go in to explain that a kid was home and I was taking a breather for a second. So hiding from the kid. I think that's what I'm putting together.
I go
We got in
in
an
to
argument.
explain.
And he said some mean things like, go inside, like there's a kid in there. And she said, you buy them sweets. What a lunatic. This is a bored person, I think.
That seems like a very odd switch there. But it made me so upset because it made me upset
because
like he
sounds like my
said some
4-year-old
things. What did you get in an argument about? Maybe like that would maybe I don't understand what the argument's about. Like, oh, because she's outside and he's dealing with the kid. Is this kid assaulting everyone like constantly or something? Or assaulted? Like, is he being mended to?
Like, I think he's like, well, go inside. There's a kid in there. And she's like, will you buy them sweets? And I'm trying to get them to eat healthier. And he's like, what did I buy? And she's like, you bought them this. And here's some examples. Well, I'm not an evil person. Well, I never said you were. He gets so defensive. Well, because you're annoying.
I mean, this reminds me of when
kooky.
When you have, I used to, whenever I'd watch Intervention, right? Remember that show? Intervention. There would be
great show. I needed an intervention for the show Intervention.
But it would be like, but the people would always be, fixed or saved, and the thing that they had to do was, go to therapy once a month or something at a resort. And I was always like, somewhere in my head, I was always like, well, I'm better than these people. like I didn't have to go through all this stuff, right? Like, why am I not being appreciated?
It was motivation.
Yeah. And you see them, it's like, hey, could you just get off the couch a little bit? And it's like, that would just be a big win. And it's like, I get off the couch every day. It's not fair, like, so.
It's like, I should have no hard times.
Like, everyone should love me and be
compared to all the righteous crap I do compared to these scumbags.
Right. So it's like I'm not an evil person. It's like that's kind of the mantra of that, right? Like, hey, like, I don't want you to buy.
Who are you convincing?
I'm gonna take the other side because I don't know what side is right here because I think they're both wrong.
Oh, good, yeah.
But it's like, don't buy them sweets. And it's like, okay, but like I'm not bad, right? Just because I buy the kids sweets does not make me a bad person. But I don't know. This one's a little weak in grammar and other ways. But I've heard that defense before too. Like, it's kind of like, hey, like, I'm not bad. Like, stop treating me like I'm bad. It's like class clown syndrome, right? You keep calling the one kid class clown eventually, and it's like, all right, like, you want me to be the class clown? Fine, I'll be the class clown. Right? It just, it's like, you want me to
kick a dog enough, he'll think he's done something wrong.
Yeah, he think he did something to deserve it.
You're right.
First off, when you do the hiding thing, completely get the tap out. Like, you need to be a tag team. You need to take breaks. If you need to away from the kid.
I walk 3 miles every day, and I wouldn't if I didn't have kids.
but you have to say it. You have to be like, I'm going to go take a break. You can't just.
It's just assumed. I mean, I've been doing it.
Well, I mean, not if you're going to get in arguments about it. You got to announce it. Like, maybe it can be assumed.
Oh, I always let everyone know. I mean, these chicks need to know every step I take. Like, I'm walking into the bedroom where my shorts, I think, are.
Yeah,
Daddy, where are you going?
Yeah, as soon as I hit the bottom step, it's like, where are you going?
As soon as I go
to do the thing
Daddy,
you just asked me to go get. You said, go get the laundry. I'm going to get the laundry.
Remember that pile of requests you just heaved on my back? I'm gonna go accomplish them.
Okay, I just didn't know because you didn't tell me that's what you were doing. But
I
it's
had
a normal chain of events. You
I
just
was like,
asked.
I'm not gonna offer it, but like if they like just normally come up and ask me to take them to Target and buy them like a cheap toy, I was like, I'm gonna say yes, but I'm not gonna offer it. I'm just gonna wait. And Hannah, like, knocked it out of the park. And I was like, yep. So we went there and we bought these toys, and we come back, and one is like this house kind of thing, like it like opens up, and it's like a little miniature house from like
Oh, yeah.
Wish, the Disney movie. But like, when you take that thing out of the box, you open up the box, you take it out, and then the plastic has like a zillion little rubber bands and twisty ties and screws that you have to like literally cut with scissors. So like before I like got into that, I was like, and I said this like 4 times, but I'm just gonna say it once. I go, if you ask me to do anything, I will take these and throw them in the trash can. I'm going to cut this out and it's going to take me a while. But if you ask me to do anything, I will throw them in the trash. And they were like, okay. And they did not ask me shit. But I said it like 5 times, dude, that sentence.
It's such a good dad law.
Like, do not pile your demands while I'm doing the most annoying thing ever. Cutting these. I can't get that one.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Everyone stop until I'm done this. There will be no talking. There will be no questions. There will be
no talking, no showing your teeth.
Yeah.
Order in the board.
No nothing until this is complete. Once it's complete,
hold your breath.
There will be no breathing.
Resume
there will be no looking. There will be no sitting, no standing, no leaning. Nothing will happen.
It becomes a Seuss book.
Yes. Everything will become trash, including past, present, and future toys. Doing preemptive.
I'm Santa Claus.
Being preemptive with the kids is it works so well. Like sometimes even before we walk in the door, I was like, I'm like, hey, we're gonna go in tonight. You're eating 4 pieces of broccoli. There's going to be a dinner in there that you do not like. You are going to eat some of it. You are not going to tell me you don't like it. I know you don't like it. Don't worry about telling me you don't like it. I know you don't like it. I specifically made it because I know you don't like it. But you are going to eat a spoon of it.
Down.
1 spoonful of it. And then there will be 2 hot dogs following it that you will then devour. If you complain about it, it will go down to 1 hot dog. Do you understand? Are you ready to accept this mission? Right. And then it normally works out.
Establish the rules.
Yeah. Like these are the rules of the game.
It's like you're not a dummy.
Yeah.
Follow them. That's what I always say to Charlie. Like when she dude, for like 2 weeks she got in trouble at school. Like the teacher would have to call Heather. And I sat her down. I was like, dude, get what you want by being good. Then they'll give you stuff. I was like, you're way smarter than that to get in trouble.
Play the game.
Now she's like teacher's pet, right? I was like, I didn't figure that out until like never. So do it now.
Yeah, there's 2 routes to go, right? You go
be the rebel,
or you don't know if
outsmart
if it's going to come, right? Yeah, so on its own, right?
Be the one who's like kissing us is a good thing because you're really kind of working them, or the person who thinks it's a bad thing and I'll never do it.
I insisted that the kids. I made a rule for a while. It doesn't really work logically because they always break it. So it became more of a punishment. But I said, if anyone mentions dessert, we don't have dessert. Like until I bring up dessert and ask for what you want for dessert, or I make an offer of dessert. If you ask me in the middle of dinner if there's going to be dessert, then dessert is canceled immediately.
Dessert's like the constant like word in like Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like if you say every episode.
Yeah.
Charlie says Eesert.
Eesert. Oh, that's cute. So that's
I like that though. It's like I don't want to hear the word. And if you think I forgot and I just haven't like given it to you yet, I haven't forgot.
Yeah.
I'm just not giving it to you.
I sometimes offer takebacks, and I do it silently. So they would be like, like, oh, can we have ice cream for and they'll like stop, and I'll just extend my hand out, and they're allowed to take it back, and they take it back. Like, that's your one, like a Spider-Man.
I take it back. I take
Everybody gets one
right,
per day. You can have one take back.
Thanks, baby.
So they use it for other things too. They use it for like if they, snap at us or something like that. Do you want to use your take back? It resets time. It resets all things. So
I like it.
You can undo it, but you only get one. Can't burn through them.
What, one a day?
Yeah, like one a day. It gets bad. It gets bad if they're like, I need another one. I'm like, too bad. You used it. You used it on that.
Like when Charlie,
silly thing early.
Charlie would say sorry, or I guess Hannah would say sorry, and I would go, but it's real easy to say sorry, but like it matters only if you are sorry. And she's like, how do I are sorry?
Yeah.
And I was like, you need to be sorry. Like, don't do the thing that you're saying sorry for.
Right.
Next time. She's like, what's next time? I'm like, oh fuck. Here we go.
It is a tough
time
concept, because it's like, oh,
it is.
So you want me to say the words that say I'm going to promise not to do that next time, but I will.
Charlie's like, when are we going to do it? I'm like, well, hopefully never, but just in case.
I sometimes get them to if they're in a bad mood or flipping out, and they're supposed to be saying I'm sorry, and they're like, I'm sorry. Not the real sorry, but they're just like, sorry, like, there, I said it, and it's over. Right. I make them say one nice thing about everybody in the room. Sorry. I'm like, say one nice thing about everyone in the room and the dog. And then they have
That's a good one.
And it has to be like a real thing. They can't just be like, you're nice. Like, they actually have to like reference a specific moment.
It'd be specific. Like,
they have to be.
It was nice when you shared the slime with me that one day.
Yeah. It's like 7 layers of hell I've established throughout the house. It's like you can keep falling, but the ladder keeps getting longer the farther you fall down, and then it takes you much longer to get out.
Right. It's like the further into the darkness you get, the flowers get brighter. I will brighten those dark rooms you keep trying to go into.
Exactly. It's so
positivity.
We'll see. Maybe they'll kill me later. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's working all right though. I'm not an evil person.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah.
No, that is good.
Oh no! Oh my god!
I'm gonna try to. I'm being lazy and I'm not taking the other ones out, but I guess we are starting to hit 50% chance. All right. You forced my hand.
Just do making the bed.
Yeah,
because that one's curious.
Yeah, there, it's on there now. Just force it.
Yes.
Making the bed.
All right. It won. Oh no.
Never liked making my bed. I don't even like to lay in beds that are made, because I have to pull the sheets from under the mattress, and I find this very annoying. My husband doesn't like it either. We think it's a waste of time. So I don't ask my kids to make their beds. But I've seen many people saying that making your bed in the morning is the most important thing on your day because whatever, it teaches discipline and so on. What do you guys think? I picked a quick one. I picked a pretty one. I picked a cute one. That's what he says.
It's funny because I see both sides. Like I see it as a waste of time, but I also think when I do make it, I just like coming home at the end of the day to a bed that's not like an explosion happened, and not like a peaceful place to go lay back down. That's all really what it is. It's like The only time that I really give a shit about future John and I make his bed for him so that when he comes home, it looks nice to get into. And it's mostly for Heather, really.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I was just gonna say that. I'm like, I feel like it's mostly for Kelly, but then I'm like, oh, but I like it too.
I like it too. It feels like it clears up some space in my brain.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, all right, good. That's nice. That'll be nice.
Yeah, and then the sheets aren't all fucked up. So that's also sort of nice. Because when you're trying to make sense of the sheets in an unmade bed for like the third night in a row, you've got like some weird corner and like your right foot isn't going to have a sheet for some odd reason because it's all tangled up and you're now brushing
all these
against like
misshaped shoddy meats.
Yeah.
It's like a sandwich with the lunch meat that doesn't like layer correctly. And it's like, I'm like pulling parts out with every bite. Yeah. And the whole like, man, I was so on your side when she was like, I heard some people say like, it's the most important thing to do in the day. It's like, that is just something people say. It's like, remember when people were like, breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yeah.
It's like, not all the time.
I mean,
and it's like the first thing you eat is the most important thing. Like that is the most important thing. You don't want to put in like a candy bar as the first thing.
Let's say that. I think it's getting kind of convoluted together, right? Like I think it's if you can come up with good habits that you do every day, that will help you. That will also help your kids if it has structure to it, right?
Right.
So if you wake up every day,
it's like a military thing.
Right. So if you wake up every day and make your bed, that's the thing you're doing. If you wake up every day and you do 10 push-ups, that's the thing you're doing. If you wake up every day and make a smoothie or something, that's the thing you're doing. Right? You're
if you wake up every day and you do your what is gratitudes. You say what you're grateful for. It's like you are setting a pace for the day on a positive, first step.
Right.
And that's never like, there's no negative. That's what the thing. Waste of time. I don't know if anything's a waste of time.
Writing this post.
You can't like look at it. And that's actually one of the best uses of time because you're saving time. Well, you're not saving time, but you're doing a favor for your future self. And God, it's so easy not to do it, but it's such a good feeling when you do it.
Right. Yeah. And for your kids too. I mean,
I was an adult.
There's lots of things that if you don't have the kids do it, they grow up saying like, oh, I don't know how to do it, so they're gonna be like, I don't know how to make the bed, even though it's a very simple thing. At least when they get to a certain age, it's like, you can do this, you're half the size of the bed, you can make the bed, right?
And they copy you.
Yeah. So we started having Leo do it, and it was just it was not planned. Like it wasn't like we are issuing this structure. I was just like, hey, make your bed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I don't know how. And I was like, all right, I'm going to show you how to make your bed. So I just showed him how to make it. And he was like, oh, cool.
And everything was
good. And he just really liked it. So then he was like, and then the next day he got up and he's like, hey, he came down for breakfast. And he's like, hey, I made my bed. And I was like, cool. And he's like, can I go make your bed? And I was like, yes, you can. Absolutely. So then he started like making our bed for us and stuff like that. And it wavers, like some days he wakes up and he doesn't do anything. And then some days he wakes up, he's like, hey, I made my bed again. It's like, all right, cool. So, I think
right.
I don't see it as
like
being
Hannah made her bed tonight. It's so funny.
Yeah. It's kind of a proud thing.
I don't think there's anything wrong. Yeah, I don't I think it's good. It kind of it lends to better habits.
Yeah. It's a win. It's an early day win.
Yeah. Yeah, right. True. It is a check off. It's a thing off the list. Even if it's like a, kind of not even really on the list. It's not really that important, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
In the long run.
But
future Reddit user.
Yeah. All right. And last one is, do I cancel the cruise? I have an 18-month-old with some delays, mostly communication at this point. 18-month-old. When he comes home from daycare, he is absolutely exhausted and overstimulated. I've raised 2 other boys. This is on a different level. It's exhausting, though I understand the why behind it. I'm supposed to go on a cruise for 4 nights with my aunt next month. My husband agreed to it, and he hasn't asked me to cancel it. But the thought of leaving my son for a cruise right now and leaving my husband to be solo for the trip causes me a lot of anxiety. I don't know that I'd enjoy the trip. She originally booked it, and it fell through with a friend. She asked me if I could go instead, but she understood it could be hard. We're a month out, and I'm considering telling her I can't go. But I worry in the future I'll really regret not going. We were going to honor my late mother, her sister, on the trip too, because we'd be on the boat on her birthday. Didn't need to know that it's her sister. That's what an aunt is.
Can you put that? Can you put that up again? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you have Lowry switch that in the booth?
Good old Lowry, sticking with us for so many years.
Yeah, I know. I want to make him like someone. I'm supposed to go on a cruise. Hold on. Gosh, dude. When he comes home from daycare, he's exhausted and overstimulated. Do you mean like he's been overstimulated, or you overstimulate him when he gets home?
Like the daycare's doing it to him.
This is on a different level. It's exhausting, though. I understand the why behind it.
Yeah.
What's the why behind it?
Yeah.
You're just older?
She understands it, though.
I'm supposed to go on a cruise for it, and my husband agreed.
Just with some delays just makes me angry. Like I was angry before that comma. I have an 18-month-old with some delays. It's like, fuck off.
Mostly dude. I can't believe I didn't get that part. I didn't
delay based on what?
Skimmed over it.
What's the delay based on? Averages?
Yes. The census, the studies. God, some delays. Dude, we all have some delays, you stupid. Like, you have a delay.
Yeah.
You're the understanding of the internet.
You're, some motherly age, and you're having anxiety to leave for 4 days. Are you overstimulated and exhausted?
By the internet, by TikTok, Instagram?
Yeah.
Like your delay on how this thing is just kind of a cesspool.
This is your 3rd kid, too. Like, just go on the cruise. Like, it's 4 days. Or 5 days, 4 nights.
Mostly communication. For an 18-month, I mean, dude, how many words do they say?
I don't know.
At 18-month.
I don't know. I don't think we had anything out of Leo at 18.
Maybe names, like a few names, or just dad and mom. No. An animal.
Probably no. Yeah, that was probably it. If that. Most of it was just pointing.
Yeah.
And like grunts.
Yeah, pointing.
Especially like Leo was way different than Ruby. Like Ruby was, talking a lot earlier and talking a lot clearer. They both did a double word thing for a while, where they would say the same word twice, which I thought was interesting.
What, like, give me the ball.
Yeah, it'd be like, what do you want for breakfast? They'd be like, toast. Eggs. But they both did it at completely different times, so it's not like they were copying each other. But
Hannah did it in like a ironic way, like she knew she was doing it. and like would change her voice. But yeah, Ruby and Hannah were like identical with like speaking.
Yeah, it's so I don't know.
Because we're all different. Oh,
I don't know what's
we
gonna
all have
change.
different delays for different things. Hannah didn't stop wetting the bed until never. And Charlie doesn't anymore. She's only 4. But Charlie can't speak as well as Hannah. It's not even close. Because they're different.
Look
But we are all made of stars.
But all these delays. Would you go on a trip right now, John? Given all these delays?
I would never take an 18-month-old on a cruise ship. That's the stupidest. That's like taking an 18-month-old to a movie theater.
She's not taking the 18-month-old on the cruise.
Oh, she just wants to go with her aunt.
She feels bad about going away, leaving the 18.
Are you kidding me?
I agree that like an 18-month-old on a cruise is
Chicago. And I was alone. And my kids have delays up the wazoo, but they have advancements in other places. Like, God, man, focus on the not the delays. Jesus. Oy, oy, oy.
You know what the difference between Leo riding a bike and Leo not riding a bike at 7 is? One day he wasn't riding a bike, and then the next day he was. And then he can ride bikes with other 7-year-olds, and it's over. And no one remembers the time before. It just happens. It doesn't matter. He doesn't think of it I lost all that time. I could have spent all this time from when I was 4, 5, and 6 riding bikes.
It's so crazy, dude. Like this Eric Bischoff thing. They're like, what were you gonna do, but you did this instead? And Bischoff's like, do you think I remember the things that we were going to do but didn't do? I barely remember the things that we did do. Like I have no memory of the idea that never made it. Like that's crazy.
Right.
I'm like, I don't remember CWO ideas that got like nixed or changed. I have no clue. She should go.
Well, yeah, she should definitely go. I mean,
it's his son. It's his kid too. Like he can fucking handle it. 3 boys with the dad. Psh, unless he's an evil man or bad person.
This is your 3rd kid too. So you're saying that because the kid has communication delays, like if you leave, I just don't see what. I don't understand the perspective. You feel bad for leaving, like the separation anxiety from leaving your son, or from leaving it in your husband?
I mean, I get it. I get the guilt, man, because
my husband agreed to it. Yeah, so she has a husband,
right? He said cool, but I know the guilt.
He hasn't asked me to cancel it. Can you imagine?
Yeah, he hasn't. Yeah, and he hasn't asked you to cancel. If he did, then you really need to go because it's way too late. And he's a dick for waiting too late, so you should punish him that way.
Can you imagine?
No, go.
Telling Heather not
your
go.
Your kids will be so excited when you get home. Think about that. Yeah, I know. That's what's so hilarious. I'm like, God, what relationships are out there? Like, what Scoot, whatever that guy's name is. So many of those guys out there.
If you're married to
Scooty,
then just stay home.
Snooter.
Yeah. You can't leave him alone. You know what though?
Yeah, you don't cancel.
You know what your 18-month-old will do in those 4 days or 5 days while you're gone? He'll mostly communicate.
Yeah, right. He'll be amongst the boys, and he'll probably just start mimicking one of them or all of them because they'll all start syncing up like boys do.
Yeah, like that scene from
making the same sounds.
What was that? Spaced. Yeah, it was like what's his name? Oh, brain fart. The guy from Shaun of the Dead. Simon Pegg. Simon.
Peg, yeah.
It was like his first TV show that he wrote, and where they talk about how guys communicate. And there's this artistic guy who lives down the hall, and he comes upstairs and he's hanging out with the two other guys, but he doesn't really hang out with guys very often. And he's like, so what do we do? Or I think they were talking about, it was a episode about like all the women in the show were menstruating at the same time. And so he's like, I wish men had something like that. And they were like, well, we do. And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, and they just like turn to him and they're like, and the guy's like, whoa, like, they start just jumping around the room like, yeah, and he's like, oh. Like then they're all just like laying dead on the ground, and he's like, that was amazing. He's like, yeah.
He's like, yeah, they can do that. We have that.
This is what we do. Yeah, it was so funny. And then that just makes me think of it. Like some of this, when she's saying like, oh, do I cancel it? Like, how is my son going to survive amongst my husband and the other two boys? It's like, actually, I think what you're thinking is like, are you not going to be the savior? Are you not going to be the one that brings your son to the next level or something like that?
Silly and weird, but probably normal. But
yeah.
It's like they'll be so pumped when you get home, and maybe the kid will be advanced in his delays of communication.
Yeah, also sometimes it's good to have an outside perspective, and have time away.
He's the third boy. Do you think he gets a second to speak? Like they don't get a minute until like it takes a while. They don't get a second.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had to ask Ruby to stop because Leo would start talking and she would just be like, oh, I already know what you're going to say. And she was like, blah, 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 and like she'd finish his sentences and we'd be like, stop. Like you have to let him say his whole sentence. She's like, but it takes so long. And I'm like, yeah, well, you used to be like that. It's just that he.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you think it was for me with you?
Right. And that's probably
I didn't rush you.
I see that a lot sometimes. Like sometimes I see moms like speak for their kids. Like the one time I was talking with a kid after baseball, or he had the baseball jersey on, so I knew he was at one of our games earlier. And I was like, "Oh, how did you do in baseball?" She's like, "He did fine." I'm like, "I'm not asking you. I'm asking him. I'm like, let him talk."
Oh yeah. Yeah, you dumbass. I know. Like this isn't about his stats.
Yeah, I was just
I
like,
just want to interact positively and treat him just like an equal.
Yeah, I still had like my coach's hat on. Like you knew I was
right.
coach
Like,
on like
you're kind of in character. You're just trying to get his confidence up a little from a person.
In most cases, I'd rather talk to the kids than talk to an adult. So I'm like, I see a kid with a baseball uniform. I'm like, hey, how'd you do? Just swing the bat? Like, what positions did you play? Did you have fun? Like, but then the parents just jump in like, he's this old. Like, I know you know how old he is. I know you know what position he played. I know you
like
know.
When I asked some kid like, what's 6 times 6? And the mom answered. I was like, are you new to this planet? I was like, good job, Deb.
Yeah, gold star.
Were you worried I didn't know?
Get a lollipop.
Were you worried I thought you didn't know the answer? She's like, John's going to think I don't know 6 times 6. I know my 6 times tables. I'm going to beat my son to it.
It's so funny.
I couldn't make enough weird faces at other people. Like,
I mean, you do have to unlearn it, right? You do have to unlearn it, but because you want to answer for them because you've got this like protection realm around them, especially when they're really young, right? So you're kind of making sure
and
that
you
don't
also
choke on
had your
things.
own like, oh, I know that. Oh, I know that.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, I know that too. I know that too. I can read that word.
But
Hannah the other night was like, how do you read so fast? I'm like, well, we've read this probably 80 times. I'm not even reading. I'm kind of just like saying the sounds. I'm making the noises.
that was the best when I read their kids' books so much that I had them memorized and I could actually turn the pages and just lay there with my eyes closed and actually sleep. Like I think I was actually asleep reading the book. And
Dude, yeah, I would like hum it. I was like, I'm the Lorax. I speak for the trees. You know, I would like say one or two main characters in a mumble. But then Hannah would start to like memorize it and start saying it and be like, you skipped a page. I'm like,
yeah,
like that's not how it goes.
Ruby at one point, like I read something wrong by mistake, and she's like, "That's not how it goes." And I was like, "What do you mean that's not how it goes?" She's like, "He says he's not a poor old duck, and you said he was a poor old duck, and that's not how the line goes." And I was like, "Well, show me how the line goes." And she proceeded to recite the book. And I just like took my phone out and was like, all right, gonna record this right now. Like nobody's gonna believe me. It's really funny.
Yes.
And it's just like, you know, you don't know. And you got to shut up for a while. So go on your cruise. That removes you from the situation. Not that you're doing harm, but maybe you're doing harm. As a parent, you always kind of have to worry about if you're doing a little bit of harm too. So pull back, have fun, come back refreshed. Maybe that will be enough to help your kid.
And like communication delays, it's like, is he not telling you when he has a poop in his pants or if he's hungry? Because other than that, that's really the only communication that he should really be expected of at that age anyway. You know, like the stuff that he needs, is he like, yo? Or is there like nothing?
I mean, there's like
I want more details.
4-year-olds that
regardless, it's so irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like Smith's daughter Quinn didn't like start talking until she was like 5. But like there's 3 insane boys in that house. Well, 2 insane boys and another normal boy.
But yeah, you just get drowned out. You're like, all right, I'll sit back. You know.
I remember saying like they'll say something when they decide to.
Right. I mean, you can work
sitting around listening to your bullshit. Nothing good to say. It seems like no one does.
If you start treating them like they have delays, then they're going to think that that's the normal. Now, the delays are the normal.
100%. And then that'll be like, God. Ugh. Slippery slope, this whole parenting.
I read that Bad Therapy book by Abigail Schreier. It was pretty good as far as a lot of references. I mean, I guess I wasn't really ready for a reference heavy
Bad Therapy.
But it was good, and it was a lot of stuff like this. Like, don't judge them and don't try to label them with some sort of diagnosis. Just treat them like kids.
No, you don't know shit.
Figure stuff out, but don't rely on like a doctor to tell you what's wrong with them. Don't medicate.
And being surprised comparing one to the other. Like, yeah. I've raised 2 boys, but this is another.
Yeah. Look at the logic of that, right? You've got 3.
Look at it a different way. Look at it a positive way.
Have you ever seen 3 things that aren't the same? Like, have you ever seen 3 apples at the store that are different? But they're all apples.
Dude, that's the greatest thing ever. Line up 3 strawberries. Are they the exact same? No, that's what people are. We're all strawberries. We're all the same but different. Some of us are beaten and bruised and soggy. Some of us are perfect. Some of us are empty inside. Some of us are juicy.
Yeah. We all got seeds. We're all red.
Yeah.
We got a green thing on top.
We all make more strawberries.
I made homemade strawberry ice cream.
We all shrivel up and die.
Yeah. We go bad before you eat us all. Every single time.
You made what? Strawberry ice cream?
Homemade strawberry ice cream, and it was really good. My ice creams have not been. I did chocolate, and the chocolate was I don't like the quality of chocolate I got, and I think it was kind of like gritty. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, I'd be worried like chocolate not getting it right.
It was a bit sandy, like a bit like.
Oh,
you had to kind of go like this. Like you'd eat it and you'd go
cacao-y.
Yeah. So I didn't.
I
didn't velvetize it enough.
Oh.
And then
the
strawberry one came out really well. I did blueberry ones, and it doesn't taste like anything. Like I don't know how many blueberries to use, but
like it's just like bland. It tastes like milk.
I mean, it's like purple. It's like looks like it won't taste really
looks
strong.
Cool.
I think the key is to do custards. Like so, you do ice cream, but you do it with eggs. I feel like those ones come out creamier and not all like they're creamy, but they're not all cream. Like some of it, like you use so much heavy cream in it that like you eat it and you're like that was good, and then you're like scraping the roof of your mouth. Like it's just you've coated your mouth with like milk fat, and
like this will be good for the winter now.
Yes, I'm good now. I'm all set. I can.
My stomach's lined with fat.
Yeah, right. So this one I hit it was a good level. It was very fresh. And it was late for summer. It would have been really good in the summertime. So maybe next time I'll make it earlier. Make a coffee one next, probably, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna make that strawberry.
Strawberry one, I'll send you the recipe. The strawberry one works out really well.
Yeah, send me the one you use.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah.
All right. That was a fun one.
Final cue. Are we done?
I will end it here if you want to say your magic phrase. Or did you have a magic phrase?
We don't have any. There's no more questions?
We changed. No, that's it. I only did 5 tonight because it was late. It's already midnight.
Okay. All right. Well, that's gotta be Kane. That's gotta be Kane. We'll see you next week. We're gonna go